I am equal parts shocked and not at all shocked that I haven't made a proper Nemeseptember video for 2 years. Wow. Like, I knew I was taking a bit of a breather, but I don't know, I feel bad for missing so many of it. So yeah, here we are. We're doing Nemeseptember again. This entire month is going to be devoted to Nemesis Primes, or I guess more specifically, black repaints of Optimus Prime, because some of the figures that I'm going to be looking at are technically not Nemesis Prime, but black repaint Optimus Prime still counts. And yeah, it's been a while. I've got a lot, a lot. So let's just get right into it. We are starting off with the one I teased in the video at the end of August. That being, actually, what was that video? I don't remember all of a sudden. Hasn't even been that long since I recorded. But anyway, this is the NewAge version of Optimus Prime. This is their, I guess technically their older Optimus Prime mold, because they did one more semi-recently that's a little bit more MP44-ish. This is not that figure, so like the leg transformation is a little bit different, that kind of thing. This is NewAge Famine, which is their Nemesis Prime repaint of that Optimus Prime figure, and this is a very cool Legends scale Nemesis Prime. The truck mode is actually surprisingly clean for what it is. Like, if you know what you're looking for, you can see like robot pelvis and kind of robot pelvis and like the leg stuff, but like transformation, what happens to the legs especially, is really interesting. So it does a lot to kind of turn inside out and hide a lot of the leg junk. And then you get these little canisters on the back. This bit up here, which I believe is supposed to work with a trailer, but this guy does not include a trailer, which I'm totally fine with. I am one of those people who's just like, no thank you when it comes to Optimus Prime molds with trailers. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. It's a solid looking truck. I think out of all of the, well, definitely out of all the Legends scale Nemesis Primes I own, this is the best alt mode. But like, real quick, we'll be looking at this guy tomorrow. Not tomorrow. We'll be looking at this guy in the next video, but here we've got the Metagate version of movie Nemesis Prime, or movie Optimus Prime in Nemesis colors, and this truck is not great. It does some really cool stuff. I really like this figure, but like this is just weird and lumpy, and they painted the wing mirrors the same color as the windows for some reason. I don't know, it's weird, but yeah, this guy is the cleanest of the Nemesis Primes, Legend scale Nemesis Primes that we're going to be looking at. And as I said, it's a box cab, rolls pretty well. There's a lot of nice detailing. They did the rims in silver, which is good because it kind of masks the pins in there. The little gas canister things are more implied than anything, but I think it works. And again, you don't really get any detail around the back except these little silver bits that just kind of are there. But you get some nice silver smokestacks, red windows, which it's cool that all of the proper windows are red, but it kind of sucks that it's translucent red plastic. But that's how they designed it. And then, of course, around the front, you've got the silver. I like the silver trim around the windows, actually, and then also a little bit of that teal poking out on the lights above the cab. And yeah, there's not really a whole lot that I can say about the truck mode, because it's just a tiny truck cab, cube cab, whatever, for Nemesis Prime. So let's shuffle things over a little bit, move things around, and do some size comparisons, because as I said, this is a Legends scale figure, so he is kind of on the small side. Here he is with Heartfire and Rotor Storm. Bring in Samus and Burnout, and like next to Burnout in particular, you can see just how small this is, which stands to reason, again, because, you know, Legend scale. But yeah, he's a small boy. He's a cute little small boy. And for one more size comparison, as always. Bring, actually, no, we're not doing this yet. Forgot I had this over here just as a, because I just got it today example, but for a more recent, modern, I guess modern, like current Legends or core class in this case figure. Here he is with Legacy Scar. Just got Scar today, actually. Diana was out of town and brought this back for me because she is awesome. So yeah, there's how he scales with a core class figure, core class Dinobot. And bringing this back in, we can finally do the one that everyone wants to see. Size comparison you all are here for. Here is Famine with the duck tank. Okay, transformation time. And the transformation on this guy is relatively intricate for being legend scale. It's manageable, but it's, it's kind of involved. But before we get into that, real quick, just want to say if you like this video or any of the other videos that I've done, or if you like this whole Nemeseptember thing, I do have a Patreon. I only have a single tier that is $1, gets you early access to videos, and as I said, supports the channel. But if you'd rather support the channel in ways that don't involve money, there is a link down in the description for a Discord server helmed by ShowZ, which is an online site that's based overseas that deals primarily with like third-party masterpiece and knockoff stuff, and I've been using them for years. They're great. Customer service is great. So if you use that link to join the Discord, I get a little bit of store credit that I can use to buy figures in the future and thus make more videos. With all that out of the way, let's get this guy transformed, and as I said, it is involved but manageable. I'm going to start with the legs first. So I want to unpeg, I'll just unpeg the legs from each other really, get this stuff separated, and this can rotate up and out, and then this panel here can rotate, it'll unpeg. It's in there really good, but unpeg. Come on, why aren't you unpegging? Okay, I guess we'll do this first. We'll swing this out, then unpeg this. Oh, that's why I'm pulling it the wrong way. So yeah, this unpegs and swings up like so. Now we can separate the legs a little bit more. We're going to deal with this later, but bring that out. Now I want to kind of pull this section here out and rotate that around. And also this little canister, I want to rotate 90 degrees to the side. Now going to unplug this whole wheel assembly here. That just untabs. Tabs in really good. But it untabs from up here. There we go. So untab that, hold this around, and that will peg into itself. Take the little gas canister thing and turn it so that the flat part is down here, not up the wheels. Then rotate this so that we can freely rotate this around. And yeah, like that. Rotate that 90 degrees. Then just bring that up. Bring this up. And you can kind of see how this interlocks together. So you want to push this down. It's on a little bit of a slider. So push that down and peg all of that together. Then swing this around, and this will also tab in here. That will lock all that together, straighten that out, and then take this, spin it 180 degrees, and there we have a leg. It's a pretty cool transformation for everything that it's doing. I don't know, I really like how this guy transforms. So, same deal here. Rotate this around, rotate this little canister 90 degrees, though this one has a little bit of a notch in it so that it can fit around this tab, which is good design, I think. I want to make sure that this is still pulled out. Okay, now, again, gonna unpeg this, swing it in, rotate this down, rotate that in so that we can rotate that, bring this up and take it all together. Make sure that's up and in place. Bring this around and that together, bring that up and rotate that 180 degrees. Now we can flare out these bits that will be the hip skirts and kind of dual hinge the hips up into place. And there's that. Now this will unpeg. Actually, there are these two tabs that peg in here and swing down to give you the butt skirt. And there is most of the lower body, pretty much all the lower body, with just a couple of small bits that we still have to do. Now, the cab is a little tricky because you need to get these doors open, but the best way I've found to do that is to start disconnecting things and like pulling at weird angles. And it's just not a great feeling, but the best way I found to do it. So like by kind of wiggling, like pull this wheel well down a little bit, and that actually does open up the window or the door. So as you can see, you could actually, if you wanted to, open the door for like display purposes in truck mode, but I don't really like doing that. But anyway, pop this down, which is here. There we go. That's just kind of how I get leverage. So you can see there's like this little tab here that sits on the inside of the door. That's how that works, or that's how I get it to work. Now this front section of the truck will swing up and take the doors and fold the window section down and then rotate this section in. Fold that down, rotate that in. You want to rotate it in quite all the way, because if it's in all the way, then these bits kind of can create some problems for the transformation later, so we'll just leave them out slightly for now. Now we can take, let's see. The problem is you need to rotate this around, and I can never remember the best time to do that. But these kind of down and out of the way, you can get the arms out, so you just kind of want to rotate those like they actually peg in here. So you want to kind of unpeg and pull out a little bit so that you can swing that up. Then it flips back, and this panel folds in. This rotates around, and then you can rotate the fist. I don't entirely know if fist rotation is necessary for the transformation into truck mode, but I do it because that just seems to give it a little bit more room. So again, untap this from the center there. There's like this little, hard to see, there's this little tab there that tabs into the inside of the forearm. Then bring this out, swing that up, push that in, rotate the fist, and rotate that so it's straight. And there we've got the arms. Now, since this area is clear, we can, I find it's best to just lift this up because you have to rotate this, and this gives you the leverage. But pull this up, rotate that 180 degrees, put it back down, and now the lower body is complete. Now comes the tough part. So you need to rotate this up, but you also need to rotate this around. And like I said, I can never quite remember the best order to do that. I think rotate these down and in just to give more clearance. And nope, that doesn't really make much of a difference. There we go. So yeah, let's rotate that around. I know there's a better way to do it. I just can't remember what it is. That's on me. But anyway, these can come back out. Here, want to fold this panel up so that you can pull back here. Also fold that out of the way. Pull back here, and just gonna come under here and try to push that head up to get a little bit more, there we go, a little bit more of a grip. Bring that back and leave that out for now. Going to take these sections here, and these sections will rotate around. And what that does is it changes where the shoulder line of the arm sits. So you can see it's back here for truck mode, and then it shifts up for robot mode. So rotate that around, bring that back around and keep that kind of up and out of the way. Now comes this part. You want to fold these bits in, and these will tuck, this whole thing will tuck into the chest, and this is why you wanted these kind of rotated up and out of the way so that they can get around this piece. So bring that in, and that will kind of, with things kind of situated properly, it'll just kind of slide into place. Then bring these up the rest of the way and rotate them in. And that will kind of square off there, keep these panels nice and situated, and that, yeah, takes care of all that. And now this piece can rotate 180 degrees and sit up there to give you the proper Optimus Prime chest, or Nemesis Prime in this case. Now rotate these pieces around, and kind of like MP10, these fold up, and these will tuck inside the torso. And now you can see they're not lining up. That's because there's actually this joint that these are connected down here. So you kind of want to bring this down a little bit, because this strut, like this, you can see the upper part is separate from this. So you want to have this in the right position. Then you can rotate these in, push everything together, and that gives you the nice solid prime torso. Rotate the waist around, hinge all of this down, bring the arms down. Now we can put the head in place, and then this panel, it was folded on this hinge for truck mode. You want to fold it on the other hinge for robot mode, and that cleans up the backpack. And that is it. There is Famine in robot mode, and this is a pretty darn convincing G1 styled Nemesis Prime. Like that transformation is really not a problem. It's just I never remember the best way to deal with this, but I actually like it a lot. And it's a really cool Nemesis Prime that is quite posable, which we'll see in a minute. But yeah, it looks great. It's, you know, the typical Nemesis Prime where you've got the black and gray, and then a little bit of teal, and of course the red windows. And because everyone has to do this, the red chest windows do actually open. And there is a tiny, very tiny matrix molded and painted in there. It's not removable. At least I'm relatively sure it's not removable. Let me double check. Yeah, I don't think that's coming out. No, that does seem to be molded in there. So yeah, not removable, thank goodness, because that is tiny. But it does have a matrix. It is painted nicely, and it's got the, you know, angry orangey red instead of blue, because Nemesis. And yeah, it's a very, very cool little figure that looks awesome. He's got some redundant joints because this was also designed as part of an Ultra Magnus. So, like, you may have noticed there are these weird hinges here. That is specifically for the transformation to prepare it as like the core robot for Magnus armor, which of course this doesn't come with because it's just this figure on its own. It doesn't have like the armor and stuff. But that is why that joint is there. Yeah, I really like how this thing transforms. I like how clean it is overall. Like, you get a little bit of a backpack, but it's pretty snug and comes together really well. The legs are nice and clean. There's really no hollowness. There's like a little bit here, I guess, but like, I don't really think that counts. And you get these bits in the inner thighs, but like, one, it's the inner thighs, and two, it's for the sake of the transformation, so things can line up when these are rotated around in vehicle mode. So I feel like a lot of the compromises this figure makes, I think, are completely understandable and forgivable. And there are just so many cool little touches to how this transforms, like the truck grill rotating around to give you this different shape for the chest windows, and the way that this shoulder line and like shifts forward, because like I said, it's normally back here. And the leg transformation, I think, is really cool, how this is basically all inside out. and then you rotate it back around, and it just adds that length to it. It is very cool. And yeah, again, there are some little things like little tabs sticking off the sides here, a little bit unsightly, but I really don't care. And also, I've seen people complain about this, and I do get it. You've got the lights from the truck cab and the lights from the robot chest kind of lined up together. And I guess if you really want to stare at it, it can be a little visually distracting, but like, I don't know, you can't notice it from the front, and from here, it doesn't bother me. I guess I could see why it might bother other people, but it does not bother me. And now let's take a look at the head. That is a really nice Optimus Prime head sculpt, but in black and silver with red eyes, and it looks really good. I don't know, just something about this it always looks so menacing in black. I kind of feel like they maybe added more of a harsh angle to the eyebrow section, if that's what you want to call it, to make it look meaner. I could be wrong, but I kind of get that feeling. I just think this looks cool. Now for the articulation, which is one of the high points of this figure, the head is on a ball joint, so you can look up a lot and look down a little bit. Not too much, but that's more the geometry, that's the problem. You get a teeny tiny bit of left and right tilt, and you can rotate 360 degrees if you so desire. The arms can go 360, and they can go out to 90, but the smokestacks will bump into the head, so you kind of want to rotate them a little bit. You get a bicep rotation just above the elbow. There's this joint, which, like I said, doesn't really accomplish anything for robot mode, but it's for the armor transformation. You get a 90-degree elbow. That is one unfortunate thing. The elbows could be better, but it's a Legend scale figure. And you get wrist rotation, and the wrists are just pegged, or the hands rather are pegged on, because you get alternate expression hands, which I do not have. I mean, I technically do have, but I don't have them out because it's in a box in my closet. You get a waist rotation, and then because of this transformation joint here, you also get an ab crunch both forward and back, and it's pretty deep if you're willing to go that far. So yeah, that's cool. The hips, if you get the front, back, and side skirts out of the way, and go forward to about there, but because of that drop down for the transformation, you can get them out of the way so you can get the full 90, and you can go a little past 90. You get thigh rotation, and of course they can go out to 90. The drop down's not really going to help with that unless you angle things around like this. So you can do that if you want, but I don't really see why you'd want to. That's a little silly. But yeah, thigh swivel. The knees are double jointed, so you get a really, really nice deep knee bend. Bring all these little skirts back down. And then for the foot, because of the transformation, and just I think that's how they designed it, you get ankle tilt that can go well beyond what is necessary. And also, because of the nature of the transformation, you can rotate the foot up a bit. Can't really go back, but you can go forward. And if you really wanted to, you could rotate the toe, but I feel like you could just use the ankle tilt. I mean, I guess if you didn't want to break the sculpt, you could do that for like subtle tilts, but yeah. He is really nicely posable, especially at the size, and I just think he's really cool. Now for the accessories, I only have one of his accessories out. I'm sorry if you wanted to see all of them, but I only have one of them out. He comes with the alternate hands, like I said. He also comes with a blaster, which is Optimus Prime's gun, and he comes with a cape, which just looks terrible. It's like this little segmented plastic cape that hangs weird, and just, I wasn't really a fan. But what I was a fan of is this thing. This really cool, kind of vaguely Scourge-ish red sword with lots of nice little techno He-Man looking sculpting to it. but with a black guard and handle. And this just pegs into his hand as you would expect. And he can hold it and look intimidating and whatnot. It does make me wish that the wrists could like tilt down because sword, but it's fine. Like I said, he's a Legends figure. I think it's fair to to not be too bothered by that considering his size. And speaking of, let's get this situated again, because once again, as I said, he is a tiny, tiny fellow. Let's bring in Artfire and Rotor Storm. Actually, let's bring these fellows over to the side here. And Samus and Burnout. You can see how he stacks up there. And I guess he's not tiny, tiny. He's bigger than the core class Nemesis Prime, which actually, as I'm saying it, I'm realizing I probably should have brought him over for size comparisons as well. And I forgot our most important new addition to size comparisons. So, because I forgot, here he is with Ova Prime, in robot mode at least. So that is how he stacks up there. And let me get all these fellows back out of the way. Come here. And it still amuses me that he's like only slightly bigger than an amiibo. Then zooming back in a bit. Here he is with core Nemesis Prime. So yeah, he's bigger than core Nemesis Prime, but not by a whole heck of a lot, I don't think. And all of a sudden, this looks like it's a little bit off-center. Let me get that situated. There we go. I think that's a little bit more right. So yeah, here is Famine with core Nemesis Prime. And because we saw him earlier, here he is with Scar. So definitely bigger than a core class. And finally, here is Famine with the Duck Tank. And that does it for NewAge Famine, their Nemesis Prime. And I mean, anyone who's familiar with this mold pretty much already knows what to expect. I think it's great. It does have some drawbacks, like that transformation is a little bit fiddly in places, particularly going back into truck mode because of disconnecting these side bits can be a little bit tricky, and getting this section rotated around 180 degrees. I just can never remember what is the best way to get the most clearance for that. And what was the other thing? There's one other thing that I found kind of fiddly. Getting the doors open, going into truck mode, or into robot mode, obviously, but there's something else that I just cannot remember all of a sudden. Point is, it's, it could benefit from being maybe a little bit simpler, but it's not bad or anything like that. I think for what you get, and again, considering the size, it could have been worse. Like I've messed around with small scale transformers that have much worse transformations than this, and this isn't bad by any means. It's just, a little bit complex, not in a bad way. The main reason I bring that up is because having recently gotten the Metagate Nemesis Prime, like this transformation is really clever and actually simpler than this one overall, though it does still have a couple of little nagging complaints about that one too. But yeah, that is going to do it for Famine, as I already said. What do you all think of this guy, or any rendition of this particular New Age mold? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and next time around, I think we're actually going to stick with the small-scale stuff, so we are actually going to look at Metagate Nemesis Prime in the next video. See you all then.